Alright fellas, it's been a few months since Tank's last outing, and of course the question everyone is asking is who is he going against next? Now after every Tank fight, the opponent's speculation usually goes something like, oh, this time he's finally going to verse Haney. Well, if not, surely it's going to be Shakur Stevenson. Oh, no? Then surely a Lomachenko or Teofimo Lopez, and then it results in a fight with someone like Hector Garcia. To see him versus one of these generational talents is something as fight fans that we all want to see. We did get to see him against Ryan though, but of course with rehydration clauses. So looking back a second at his last fight against Frank Martin, a pretty good challenger to be fair, although a challenger not really within the true elite of the division. In what wasn't one of his most hyped fights, although it was partnered with a Benavidez co-main, it still didn't do fantastic pay-per-view numbers. Although it did do a great gate. Yet the fight itself of course impressed, and that highlight reel knockout has continued to keep his name in our mouths, and has made the fans want to see more. Coming off this fight with the fractured state of boxing, it was finally thought that it could be the time we're going to see Tank challenge one of the bigger names in the division. Shakur said see you later to Top Rank and was a free agent. Haney was coming off a beatdown and was also a free agent and would be looking for a comeback, while Top Rank's dwindling stable made Bob Arum willing to come to the table to make the Lomachenko fight happen. It finally seemed like one of these big fantasy fights was finally going to go down. Personally, I really wanted to see him get in the ring against Shakur Stevenson, two fighters in their prime facing off. Yet as the story usually goes, that didn't happen. Instead, Shakur took a fight against Joe Cordina, which ended up even not happening because he got injured. So with Haney also going into borderline retirement and deciding to spend more time in the courts and in the ring, we all thought finally Tank versus Lomachenko, and it looked like it was going to be likely. Yet it seems like once again it isn't going to happen. For a fight which was meant to be in advanced negotiations as the Martin fight was ongoing, it's not going to happen. With all these talks falling through, it was clear that we're not going to see one of these high profile matchups. Well, at least next. But the big fights were still being rumoured even till a month ago, yet recently all the hype seemed to die down. And what were we left with? Well, two major options seemed to be floating around in rumour. The first would have been the Pitbull Cruz rematch. That fight would have made sense. With Pitbull's increasing popularity and the previous good contest between the two, it would have been a big pay-per-view seller. Yet, with this rematch in sights, all Pitbull had to do was get through Jose Valenzuela. But to me, it seemed like they overlooked him, which resulted in that split decision loss, which put a stop to the Pitbull hype train. So with Pitbull now coming off a loss, Tank's team turned their attention to Jose Valenzuela. Early talks did happen, yet it was clear they wanted to drag El Rayo back down to 135. Yet, as he now holds that WBA super lightweight title, they didn't seem too keen on going back down a division. And also, Tank's team weren't really pushing for the fight. Although there seemed to be talks, neither camp really seemed to want it. For El Rayo, they're waiting to see if Pitbull activates his rematch clause. And, of course, they would have to go back down to 135, which they don't seem so keen to do, at least so soon. And for Tank, why would you want to fight a natural heavy 135 pounder when of course you can pluck a champion from the division below? And that's exactly what seems to be happening again. In a move we have seen before when Tank fought Hector Garcia, they're looking to pluck a champion from the division below to move up to verse Tank. And that boxer seems to be Lamont Roach Jr. Now, if you haven't heard of him before, Lamont Roach Jr. is a super featherweight fighter hailing from Washington DC with a record of 25 wins, 1 loss and 1 draw. His one loss came at his first shot at a world title against Jamel Herring, in which he lost by unanimous decision in 2019. Yet after that loss he rebounded and went on to defeat previous Tank challenger Hector Luis Garcia and won himself the WBA super featherweight title in November of last year. His last bout came against Feargal McCrory, where he won by TKO and retained his title. Now the two have met before, in the amateurs in 2011, where Tank won via a 3-round decision. Now, this fight is what looks to be next, in what really will be another disappointing selection for us fight fans. Roach is a good challenger, and of course he'll bring his all if he lands this fight. He shouldn't be written off completely, and I think he'll surprise many in the fight he would bring to Tank. Yet of course I would rather have seen Tank against literally any other 135 pounder. Bringing people up from the division under so you can claim you've defeated another world champion just isn't it. If a big matchup against one of the big names wasn't going to happen, I happily would have taken a matchup against a De Los Santos or even a Kambosos at this point. At least with Kambosos it would have at least been an entertaining build-up. Yet what I think they're doing is rolling the dice on a big gate. With Roach from Washington and Tank from Baltimore, don't be surprised to see the venue be somewhere in between. Banking in of course the regional fans to show out in droves. As well as this, I would expect Benavidez as the co-main. This Benavidez Tank combination seemingly worked good enough for PBC for them them to do it again. I think if this Tank Roach fight goes down, it will be more entertaining than many of the pundits are saying online. Roach is no slouch and will bring it to Tank, although once again it's just disappointing not to see him continue to fight people in his actual weight division. Expect this card to be just before Christmas, potentially on the 21st of December, the same date as Fury Usyk 2, in what hopefully should be Tank's last stay busy fight before a major matchup is made. Yet that's a hope we've had for way too long, and who really knows what lays beyond that potential Roach matchup. Now I want to hear what you think will be next for Tank. Who do you think he's fighting next, and what's your thoughts on the proposed Lamont Roach Jr fight? If you enjoyed the video, it would mean a lot if you would consider liking and subscribing. But thanks for watching fellas, and I'll catch you in the next one.